Hello, friends. I hope you're all well. Today we're talking about a really fun topic, celebrating success. And I'm really hopeful that many people listen in. What I definitely have found that people love topics that focus on friction, right? So like boundaries and relationships and things like that. But sometimes I don't get as many views when the topic is celebrating success. But this is really so critical to moving up your happiness set point. So I'm really hopeful that lots of people jump in. While people are joining, just a couple things, housekeeping items. My name is Brandi. I'm Brandi Michelle. I'm a happiness coach. So I help people who throughout their entire life have felt that success and achievement would equate to happiness. And even though it never really does, they still find themselves on this hamster wheel, believing that the next thing is exactly what they need to be extremely happy. And the work that we do is really about taking a step back and shifting that so that happiness really is a goal unto itself. And when happiness is a goal unto itself, then the unintended consequence of that is that success comes just much more easily. So it's really symbiotic in nature, but you've got to flip it. So with that, today we're going to talk about celebrating success. If you're ever interested in working with me or hearing from me a bit more, I have left the link to my website in the comments. A couple things here are that if you go to my website, you can sign up to receive my journal entries, which publish on the 1st and 15th of every single month. And they're kind of a continuation of these conversations in written form. Also, I have an online program called the Joy Blueprint, which really is a beautiful program. There's 20 lessons, there's tons of exercises that help you embody the lesson, and there's a community that you become a part of, as well as weekly coaching calls. And on these weekly coaching calls, we come on, you guys can bring anything that you want, either to review the material or for us to deep dive on some one-on-one coaching. So I'd love to see you guys there. The next one launches on September 4th. It's $497. It's a great investment in your own happiness. All right. As we go through the content today, please make sure that if you have any questions or comments that you definitely leave them in the notes, whether you're listening live or you're joining later. I always come back and answer everything. Okay. So hello again, beautiful friends. So this subject, as I mentioned earlier, is really close to my heart. It's about celebrating success. And it's something that I really had to teach myself to do. I was someone who, kind of looking back, I noted that I had a lot of success, but I rarely paused and took time to celebrate it. I was always kind of like looking into the future for the next thing, right? So if I won a Big Ten championship, then I was like, okay, I want to be All-American. Then I was like, okay, I want to try out for the Olympics. Okay, I want to make it to the Olympics, right? And then you don't make it to the Olympics, and you realize that like all along the way, you had these beautiful successes that you will one day kind of share with my son or your family, whatever the case may be, but you didn't even pause to enjoy them, much less to celebrate them, right? And kind of the converse of that, right, is that, well, not really the converse, additive to that is that not only are we like not celebrating, but sometimes we're actually discounting the achievement and really exploring how it could have been even better instead of just like being in the moment. So let's explore together today why it matters just so much. Right? Because I think first and foremost, we don't want to think about success just in terms of the finish line. So it's not just like, okay, like, do I make it to the Olympics and win a gold medal, right? Or do I deliver more revenue than anyone else has ever delivered? Do I make a marketing campaign that is later, written about in as a case study for Harvard Business Review? Do I build a business that is a unicorn business, right? Like all of these things, right, are all about the finish line, but life just isn't that way. Life is really about the journey, right? So we live life in the now. We live life every single moment. So right now, when I'm with you, I am doing my very best to have my undivided attention here in this moment, because that's all that I have, right? Like the past is the past and the future is the future. And all that is real for us at any given moment is kind of like what's happening right now. And so if we don't enjoy that journey, we don't enjoy every single moment, then we aren't really like embracing all that life has to give. And it could even get to the extreme where you're not really living life because you're always kind of in anticipation or reflection, right? So you definitely want to be focused on kind of the journey. You want to think about your growth. You want to think about your transformation, but in as much as like right now, how can you move towards that, right? And so when we celebrate our successes, it's not like you're patting yourself on the back or just being complacent, right? You're not like, hey, I made it, good job, right? You're actually like reinforcing for your subconscious that you had the courage, the determination, the resilience, the focus, the commitment to achieve that which you achieved, right? And so we then, as we celebrate that, we then reinforce those very competencies, right? Those abilities, right? And so also when you're celebrating success, as we've talked about before, the importance of emotions, right? So our life is driven by emotion. If it's between like your thinking brain thinking something and this groundswell of emotion, whether it be high vibration emotion or dense emotion, that emotion is always going to win, and it's always going to guide your experience, right? And so celebrating success, it fills you with kind of this excitement and motivation and these really high vibration emotions that you in that moment can use to continue to propel yourself forward. So you want to think about that celebration as really fuel for your dreams, right? And I'm not overstating that, right? Like the more we can be at that frequency of happiness and joy, the easier life will be, the more synchronistic it will be, the more we're going to align with that which we're seeking, right? So it's just a reminder to yourself that you're capable, that you're strong, and that you're worthy, right? We've talked about that word oftentimes. You must believe in your worth in order to align with what you're seeking, and that you're worthy of it, right? So it really is like communicating with the universe, with the field, with source, with your higher self, with God, with love. It's this communication and sending a message that you're ready for more. You're available, right? And so that's why celebrating success matters, right? Now, why don't we celebrate success as much as we should? It's really tricky. Sometimes we shy away from celebrating ourselves, especially like women and people of color, because we're raised in that way and it's not culturally acceptable. So we downplay our achievements. I remember one time I was speaking to a family member and they said that I was having a great hair day. And I responded something to the effect of like, yes, isn't it amazing? I love my hair today. Like I was like really feeling good about the way my hair looked. And then their response back was like, well, aren't you high on yourself? Right. And so that then, especially if you're getting that response as a child, is a reminder that we actually don't get to like sit in joy and happiness and love around us. And then I actually shared that conversation, my feedback with, that family member, and they chose to see it differently from that point forward. But we really do want to acknowledge that sometimes we shy away from celebrating ourselves because we are, for lack of a better word, programmed not to do so, right? And so we want to kind of explore and have awareness about why we don't feel comfortable celebrating ourselves in the same way that we celebrate our friends, etc., right? And so we want to think, we want to realize that it's not arrogant. Like if I love the way my hair looks today, like it's not arrogant to be like, yes, Now, if you're going around like seeking compliments, that's very different, right? Or if you believe that you're better than others, that's arrogance. But just having this really beautiful confidence about your achievements and what you're done and how you're showing up in the world, that's really beautiful. And we want to have a beautiful ripple effect with that, where other people feel comfortable doing that too, right? So that's one reason we shy away. I think another reason we often shy away is because we're kind of caught in this rat race. We're like chasing the next big thing, right? And so we're overlooking, we're not even pausing for those beautiful moments because we're not living in the now, we're living in the future, right? In this like perception of what could be instead of just simply being with what is, right? And so you want to acknowledge those moments along the way. Those are all triumphs, right? And so, and then there's other reasons. Maybe we have fear or doubt, or we worry that if we start celebrating, we won't have the same amount of drive, right? Or it could just be a habit. But whatever it is, it's important to reflect on it and then acknowledge that it's time to change, right? And so, what are some of the benefits of celebrating success? I think like magical things happen. And I know you guys are probably like, she says that, most of the talks, but I talk about things that I believe can have a profound and fundamental impact on your lives, right? And so, you will be in this place of joy and gratitude when you're celebrating your success, right? Because you're acknowledging that you're in this place that you want to be. And so it's going to fill your life, as I mentioned earlier, with these high vibration emotions. It's also going to be, secondly, like this motivation, right? It's going to energize your spirit. It's going to even gear you up even more, right? I think what you'll find is when you're driven by these high vibration emotions, love, joy, excitement, things like that, you're going to move towards your growth even faster, even better, and on a more clear path than when you're driven by kind of fear, doubt, worry, right? That like you got to get to this next thing. It just, even when you articulate it, you feel how you feel in your body, right? And it also just allows you to connect with yourself, right? When you're always kind of on this hamster wheel, on this rat race, then you aren't even like living your own truth, and you're not as connected to yourself as you could be, as we all could be, right? And so you want to connect back to yourself through this kind of like celebration of who you are. And this also is like a beautiful recognition of our shared human experience, right? So I do want to note that like celebrating ourselves is more than just like a victory dance or like being really excited. It's really just like this embrace of who we are and this like acknowledgement of what it took to get to where you were, right? And it also helps freeze in your brain kind of like what moves you towards success, because when you don't have this kind of snapshot of how you got there, then it's not as easy to repeat it, right? And so this is why we see kind of these lower density things repeating in our lives, because we reflect on them so much. We reflect on them so much. We give them so much mind space that we're like creating these neural pathways, and that's actually drawing it back to us, right? And imagine if you did the same thing for the best times, events, experiences that showed up in your life. Imagine if you took a picture of that and embedded that in your brain, and then you're going to be more likely to scale from there, right? So here's how we can start to celebrate yourself more. I'm going to give you guys 3 quick things here before I sign off. 1, we want to embrace the small wins, right? So every step forward is worth a cheer, right? Acknowledge all your daily progress, not just huge milestones. So just recently I started a group chat with some friends, really around like every day we brag about something that we're doing. And I'll talk more about this group chat in the future, but today that's just like one aspect of it. Like every day, like no matter what it is, you find something to brag about. 2, share the joy, right? Like share your success with friends. You can share it with me. You can let me know what you've been doing and how great it's been. And then let your friends share it with you, right? So we want to embrace the small wins. Like I said, we're doing in this group chat every single day, bragging about something. We're sharing the joy because we're sharing with each other. And then create a success ritual, whether it's a journal entry or dancing or getting a special treat, something that creates this loop in your life around celebrating success. So whatever that looks like for you, right? So today I remind you all to recognize your beauty, your brilliance, and all the power that's in you. And let's not just be on this chase for success. Let's celebrate it because you're worth it. And you're worth celebrating every damn day. So keep shining, keep growing. Remember, I believe in each of you, and let's celebrate life together. Remember, changing the world's an inside job. It starts with each of us. And just imagine a world with 8 billion happy people, and then let's go. You can find me at www.brandymichelle.com. I would absolutely love for you guys to join. Excuse me. To receive my journal entries on the 1st or 15th, or take a deeper look at the Joy Blueprint. Until next time, bye guys.